Welcome to Our Paramotor Nation. Tonight's show is sponsored by Wisconsin Flight Sports. They make it affordable and accessible for you to get your paramotor training. They are stocked with SkyMax Paramotors, one of the best paramotors available, and they are ready to be shipped to you today. Check out Paraswag USA for your complete powered paragliding gear, source providing you with the new Rebel 2 RS paramotor, as well as other gear and accessories. JK Custom Carbs is a father and daughter run small business taking your vision and immortalizing it forever on wood, plastic, or aluminum. With extremely affordable pricing, this creation makes a great gift and trophy for any paramotor enthusiast. Find JK Custom Carbs on Facebook or click on their link on the Our Paramotor Nation website. iFly Indiana provides USPPA certified powered paragliding training on their equipment or on yours. Full-time classes are 7 to 9 days. Part-time classes are also available. Come out to Indiana and see how beautiful it can be to train. Take the next big step in your paramotor training at Skylab Paramotor SIV. Here, paramotor pilots of all skill levels will learn collapse recovery and advanced maneuvers. One-Up Adventures and ParamotorProps.com. Come share their passion for flight on adventure trips around the world. Additionally, they are a supplier of carbon fiber propellers in the U.S. at extremely low prices and have become a leader in the country for getting tandem training and exemptions. FlyMyPPG offers a full-service paramotor training experience with 3 on-site instructors and class sizes limited to 6 students, all on a beautiful private 90-acre airport. FlyMyPPG offers on-site lodging and RV camping. Space is limited, so don't wait to make your reservation. More than just soap, Charlie Soap has all-natural laundry detergents and household cleaners like no others. They are a supporter of Resurgence PPG. Get all the natural cleaning supplies you need at charliesoap.com. Celebrating their 10th anniversary, the team at Fly PPG discovered powered paragliding has helped people from around the world get into our great sport. They are the Midwest importers and distributors of adventure paramotors, trikes, and wings. Aviator Paramotor is a cornerstone for paramotor training while offering its students some of the top paramotoring equipment. With 2 locations in beautiful Florida, class availability has never been more convenient. With raving reviews, Lone Star Paramotor has become one of the most sought-out paramotor schools in the South, near San Antonio, Texas, offering foot launching and trike training classes and much more. Light up the skies with PPG lights and make one heck of an impression with countless patterns and colors on your paramotor. No aircraft can miss seeing you when you are flying at twilight with PPG lights. Wicked Wings logo can help you have a one-of-a-kind custom glider with 1 or multiple colors on your logo. Get all the information you need to order your logo today on the Our Paramotor Nation website. That's www.ourparamotornation.com. And while you're there, check out Our Paramotor Nation's upcoming shows, watch our past shows, and visit all of our sponsors and find out much, much more. And now, let's get started with Our Paramotor Nation.
Live or not. Yeah, we are live. Awesome. Thanks everybody for being here. This is our very first episode of the Paramotor Live Chat that we've decided to have this just as a way for us all to talk paramotors, which we're all pretty much obsessed with anyway.
It has been over 2 years that you have tuned in each and every week to Our Paramotor Nation. And each Sunday night, you expect to see your hosts, David Wolf, Dave Ruff, and John Ripa behind the mics. But on Easter Sunday, we are celebrating our 100th episode. And we are bringing back some of the people who have contributed to the success of the show. For one night and one night only, tune in and see, joining David, John, and Dave, from Florida Flight Sports, PPG Gorilla Rick Davies. Phoenix in flight herself, Mrs. Nicole Phoenix. From the land of 1,000 Gators, Kate Bowen. And the co-originator of the show, the man who held the mic first and the originator of the Tri-State Skywalkers, Mr. Brandon McLeod. Catch up with all of them. Lots of giveaways and the first ever Golden Parachute Awards highlighting some of the most memorable moments of the first 100 episodes. Join us April 4th at 9 o'clock Eastern Time for the 100th episode of Our Paramotor Nation.
There you go. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Our Paramotor Nation. That's my big announcement. I am so excited for the show in 2 weeks, 100th episode. And we've got all the people who have hosted the show joining us. So you've got Rick Davies coming back for that show. In addition to him, Nicole Phoenix, Kate Bowen, and Brandon McLeod are all coming back. So we're going to be able to catch up with all of those guys. Obviously, John and Dave are always with me. They're going to be here as well. It's going to be a really fun show. We've got a ton of giveaways that we're going to give away that night. We've got the Golden Parachute Awards, which, you know, they're kind of like the Dundies to the office. They mean absolutely nothing. They're worth absolutely nothing, but they're a lot of fun to get. And some of the stuff that we're going to be doing is just going to be gut busting hilarious. So tune in for that. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. John Ripa is here with me. What's up, Ripman Ryden?
Hello. What's up, everybody? Excited for the guest tonight.
Yeah, we got a good guest tonight. Johnson Q is going to be joining us here in just a minute. How was your weekend? Anything new with you?
It's pretty good. It was pretty mellow. Didn't get too much flying in this weekend, but it was okay. Don't you have something coming up, Dave, that you want to talk about?
Oh,
some
do you mean
upcoming something or another?
Series? Yes, I've got a new series coming out on video. This is going to be something a little different. I've already got 4 episodes of this series already recorded and ready to go. It's going to be OPN. We're going to call it OPN one-on-one, at least to start, unless someone comes up with a better idea. And it's going to be one-on-one, not really interviews, but just conversations with people. There's going to be a lot of video, but really the purpose of this is just to give you something to listen to while you're driving. You know, people like myself, I drive a lot. I know you drive quite a bit, and I just like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving. And this gives everybody else. It's going to come out at a very unique time too. It's going to be 7:30 a.m. every Tuesday.
On your drive to work in the morning.
You can listen to it on drive to work if you want to watch it later and see all the visuals that are included with it. It's going to be cool. But we've already got 4 episodes, 2 episodes with Tim Gaskins, 2 episodes with Larry DeChico, and we're about to record our 3rd one here. So
sounds
that's
cool.
going to start this Tuesday at 7:30 a.m.
Looking forward to that.
Dave Ruff is on the road right now. He and Greg Harris and Cynthia Lecomte are just leaving. They left about 40 minutes ago from Spring Hill, Louisiana. You know who's there? Mr. Oakley. So he will be joining us here shortly. But right now, John, we have Johnson Q. And he's going to be joining us this very second.
Let's see him. Hello there, Johnson.
There he is. What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
Well, we're doing great. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you since the pre-show, dude. That's awesome.
I haven't seen him since Palm Bay.
Look at that shirt he's wearing. He's got his Resurgence shirt on, doesn't he?
There it is.
There you go. Big supporter of Resurgence PPG. Since you're supporting Resurgence PPG, why don't we give away a couple things? I've got another buff like the one I'm wearing right now. Hopefully you'll make it look better if you win it. And I've also got another Resurgence PPG COVID mask. So we'll give away 2 of those at the end of the show. We'll ask a couple questions based upon some things that maybe Johnson will answer for us. And so you better be paying attention if you want to win something, right? There you go. That's a really cool background.
It
What's
is.
that? What
It
is that
is
background?
one of
The state.
a craft idea I had that turned into pretty much something I just continued on. And now I feel like I'm missing a pin here and there, but it's been a good way for me to track everywhere I've been. So this is the FAA United States Continental Planning Map. You can, I'm pretty sure I bought it because I need something from Aircraft Spruce. And they're like, okay, you get free shipping if you spend this much. I'm like, okay, what else can I need?
So the pins on there marked every spot you've been to in the United States?
It is. So I bought that map off Aircraft Spruce, put it on a piece of foam board, and I said, you know, here's a fun thing. Everywhere I've flown, that's a unique site, put a pin down. And this is how it's just continued to grow over the years.
So let me ask you this. How many pins are on that map?
I have honestly not kept track that well. But the last I checked the list, it was 159.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of places. Whew.
Now, when you're like driving down to Florida, you just mark a little pin every few miles or so, or?
No, it's only places. So the rules I kind of set for myself are it's a unique launch site. And then I also added unique landing sites because sometimes I start flying one place and then land somewhere else.
So not places you've been, but places you have flown.
Exactly. No, it's not the places I've been because I've road tripped across the country.
Yeah.
This is, I have launched a paraglider or a paramotor from one of these sites.
Awesome. Very cool. That's fun. That's a fun, you know, I think Allie does something like that in her van, doesn't she? But hers is like this big, her map of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
that's
and I know other people have taken this idea and so for example, I kind of just color code emotionally where it's just like, yeah, that was a forest. Let's use a green pin. Oh, that was a beach flight. Let's use a blue pin. Oh, I saw the solar eclipse there. Let's use a red or a black pin. Who knows? But I know some guys who've taken a similar idea and done, private pilot Cessna flights with this color, PPG flights with this color, skydives with this color. So it's obviously it's not my original idea, but I love that people are running with it as well.
Very cool. I do want to say thank you very quickly to Super Kindle 100. He donated $100 to the super chat. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but every time there's a donation to the super chat, 50% of the proceeds go right back to Resurgence PPG. So thank you, Super Kindle, for helping out with the show as well as with Resurgence PPG. He said, I'll start it off for an awesome channel. Thank you so much. Happy flying. Can't wait to get started. That's great. Cool. So you've got there's so much to you. It's ridiculous. There's so much to you. And the story, I don't even know where to start on the stories. Let's start about like, when did you start flying? How did you get into this? Let's start with that.
You want the long story or?
I think we have so much to talk about. We should probably go with the short story.
All right. So in college, I got slightly unlucky in that we used to have a joint private pilot's license engineering program. So I think like a year before I entered college, that program ran out of money. So I always thought, okay, yeah, I wanted to get into some sort of flying, and we had generous alumni that let me fly all kinds of aircraft. So everything between one year I had a Cessna Citation, plenty of time in 152s, a bunch of time in sailplanes, which is how I got in the glider world. But at the end of the day, I kind of looked at all of them like, I can't afford a $250,000 sailplane. So one day I was watching some videos on YouTube, as kids do for all ages. This was 2012, and one of the guys who was making content that I liked, he just had a random video of him flying a little cloud wing under a bridge. And I'm like, wait, hold on. The little cloud, some other paramotor I didn't recognize. I don't remember what it was. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And I looked it up and pretty much said, I'm graduating and I'm doing that immediately afterwards. That looks like fun and it looks like it will let me fly.
All right. What was your major, did you say?
So I studied engineering and I kind of went into more electrical engineering.
That might be why you have the brightest paramotor in the sky.
Yes.
So if you haven't followed Johnson on Instagram, you really need to. And there was a picture on Instagram where even with the sunset, you could see the ground was lit up. How many lights do you have on that cage?
So there are 12 LEDs on the paramotor. And this is one of the early reasons I actually just said, this is a reason to go with the Scout. So Scout has the 6 spars and they're all facing different directions. So I kind of just did a quick plan of, okay, if I put an LED on each of the spars, which are oppositely compensated, I would have no blind spots. And that was just the idea of, okay, yeah, if a strobe is in front or behind you, there's gonna be a blind spot. But on a Scout, when the LEDs are far out and facing all different directions, it's really like virtually any angle is clear. So there's 12 LEDs on the Scout, and they are pumping out way too much power.
How many miles away can someone see with that all lit up?
I haven't actually been able to test this.
SpaceX called. They said you were blinding them from up there.
Yeah, I do have to apologize to people like Doran Martin, where at the last air show, I turned on my strobes and I thought we were launching, but we had to hold for a few minutes. So he just had to stand behind me getting blinded by my strobe. And I'm like, I'm going to turn this off for Doran. I just realized we're not launching anytime soon.
So how did you learn how to do all the lighting then? I mean, how did you come up with all that?
So
background.
I'm an electrical engineer. That's probably my biggest background professionally. And I've always loved LEDs, probably because I had a theater minor and played with a bunch of lighting stuff. So always thinking about how to light up stuff, whether it's on the stage or in film. So being able to play with these kinds of things and then seeing a lot of the strobes out there, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make one that's just for fun. But if I'm doing that, it's gonna have to be crazy. So I pretty much said, all right, this is not something I have to really worry about creating a lot of. I spent better part of a year just going back over designs, trying to figure out.
I was going to say a lot of trial and error, right?
Not that much trial and error. I probably really over designed it, and I think I built it. I think I've only built like 3 strobes total. But part of that was I spent such a long time just thinking about how I wanted to cobble all the parts together. So just to be extra nerdy, for example, I wanted the strobe to be constant brightness, wanted to give me a low battery warning. I wanted it to not change if the battery's getting low. I didn't want it to get dimmer or go slow or anything like that. And I didn't want it to blow up on my paramotor and catch on fire. So all fun features.
So just a second ago, you had mentioned the air show. So if you don't know this about Johnson, is he is a part of the Paradigm team. So first question is, when did you start deciding you wanted to do all this acro maneuvers? And then how long have you been on the team? And then we'll get into some other questions about that as well.
So I've never really thought of myself as someone who's interested in what I call floppy wing acro. So the guys who are in the lingo, that's helicos, infinite tumbles, misty flips, Mac twists, stuff like that. It's never really appealed to me. Like, I will say some of the earliest videos I saw on YouTube were like the Nivea guys and their acro team, Oliver Fritz doing his stuff. And that was inspiring. But as I got into it, I never really wanted to do just a couple thousand feet in the air flopping around. I've always been more of, I want to go see things. I want to take this as an adventure vehicle, and I want to do stuff like precision racing. So acro has always been, all right, cool. I will do it simply because I want to become a better pilot. So in the early days, I said, yeah, if I'm going to learn wingovers. And then eventually I learned if I get good at wingovers, that also teaches you how to keep your wing open in various conditions. So I will often tell my students, hey, you say to yourself, I am whatever age bracket, I have responsibilities, maybe it's kids, maybe it's a business. I don't really have interest in acro. I will push them to say, you should probably still think about doing wingovers, simply because if you can do a good soft wingover, you know how to keep your wing open. So that's where I just said, yeah, all right, let's get pretty damn proficient at stuff like that. That seemed to be good enough for joining the Paradigm team. At which point, yeah, I think it's been, there's always a pandemic. There's obviously a pandemic in a way. So the first Paradigm performance I did was at the Lycoming Air Show in Pennsylvania. So that was either, I don't know if it's 2019 or 2020 at this point.
Okay.
But that was a fun introduction with Eric Farewell. We've known each other for longer than that. And he said, hey, we're doing this air show. Do you want to join the team this year? And I pretty much said, all right, yeah, I can swing that.
Interesting. Okay. I guess what's your favorite part about being on the Paradigm team? I mean, is it just getting to be with the guys, or is it the actual performance itself? It's hearing the crowd as you land?
I think that last part is my very favorite. Some people will say, okay, yeah, you're in an air show. There's an F-35 flying like, 2 show brackets before you. What are you guys going to do on your butt fans? What we can do is we can do our pretty unique routine and show with cool lights, especially if it's a sunset or night show. But the F-22 or the F-35 has to go land all the way over there. We, most of the time, land right in front of the audience, and you can hear their cheering all the way down on final. And then you flop down, put your wing down, open your ear cups, and they're still cheering the whole time. That's awesome. Probably the most satisfying part of the performance.
That is so fun. Oh my God, I'm so jealous of that. You're talking about training. Let's switch over to training for a second. Before we talk about your style of training, Brian Waller wants to know, where did you train and how many SIVs have you done?
So I trained with an instructor in Southern Maine, and he started as my instructor, and we just became good friends. We realized that we had a lot of similar ways we thought about hobbies. And so, for example, we got into paramotors together. We nerded out about ham radios during that phase. He's the one that influenced me to buy my first motorcycle. All kinds of fun adventures. He's retired from paramotor training, but I still like keeping up with him, and hopefully he'll come back in the summer and we'll have a motorcycle camping trip. Second part was about SIV.
Yeah. Have you done any SFVs?
I have done one SIV with Chris Santa coaching.
Right. And I think there was an incident that happened where you threw a reserve during that time, wasn't there?
There was.
Tell us about that.
So let's see. So
Unfortunately, I think you're known for that, Johnson. I don't know if that'll ever let you go.
No, and unfortunately, this is why a lot of people say, "Hey, yeah, nice to," or like I go up to them and I said, "Have we met?" And they're like, "Yeah, we met during Wings Over Winter that one year. You were really cold." I'm like, "Yeah, that means I don't remember you. Sorry, I was recovering in front of a space heater." So that was an SIV, and I pretty much had 2 days where day one, Chris, we want to be thorough. We practice kind of all the fundamentals to see where we are. Hold all the lines to make your wing go different shapes and unpleasant ways, A's, B's, D's. Did a little bit of wing overs. And then the next day I said, okay, yeah, Chris, this is the thing that's going to be fresh that I want to work on are, the first two maneuvers that are into the big stepping stones. Full stalls and spins if we can manage it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a motor SIV, which is a little bit more rare. There's great pros, which is no towing and you get infinite free refills, but we'll get to why the motor might have been a factor in a second. Day two, did a few other maneuvers and then said, all right, I think we're ready. Let's do some full stalls. First one, textbook. Slam the brakes down, airspeed drops, wing falls behind you, goes all floppy, and then let it up, catch the surge, come out of it, wing flies, you fly, you get under it, it's all good. Chris, being the awesome, enthusiastic man he is, said, that was perfect, that was awesome, do it again right now. I said, that felt good, let's do it again right now. Yeah. The first one took a bit of muscle. The second one, combination of probably me just being fraction more tired, and then the fact that I was on a motor. If you've ever, for example, hung a paramotor off of a hang simulator or a hang points and not had a person in it, the motor is reclined like almost 80, 90 degrees back. When you're pulling brake pressure to do a stall, that brake pressure gets really heavy. So it's as if you kind of come out of the seat and the motor gets unweighted. So normally SIV coaching goes something like, okay, upright in the harness, good posture, brakes, shove them down, past your knees, past your butt. Mm-hmm. As you're doing that, if the motor tilts you back and your butt's in the air, you're not wanting two things happen. One is you don't really know where to shove anymore, because if you shove towards your butt, you're shoving your brake lines up. Two, that angle, trying to push it behind you is difficult. So I think technically the what happened would be I didn't quite break it into a perfect full stall. It went into a back fly, and we kind of got stuck into that warning sign or that warning zone where it's just like, okay, this is the one part where you should be careful, because if you are in the back fly and then you let up, the wing can surge really hard. And I was looking at the wing, except I was looking at the wing through my crotch because I'm slightly upside down, thinking this doesn't feel like a full stall. It didn't have that break. And then Chris probably also saw the same thing from 2,000 feet down. And he said, all right, that's not looking right. Let's go hands up. And immediately at the same time, I
Johnson, come back to bed, babe. Come on.
Jeez.
Johnson.
Lucy and Sim.
Johnson.
Come back to bed.
Come back to Lucian Sims.
Oh, that's great. Oh, man.
Johnson, if you need to go, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
priorities,
This is probably the best way that story could have gone. Yeah, full stall didn't go that well. Back fly, horribly unloaded and shot.
So when Chris said hands up, what did you do?
I went, so a split second before Chris said hands up, I was thinking, all right, I need to come out of this. I'm going to go hands up and, not go too quickly on it. But then my brain And Chris radio in my head both said hands up. And we're like, okay, robot does what the instructor says. Hands up. It surged. It surged hard. It surged to approximately. Slapping you?
Are you telling a story?
Look at the helmet.
Oh, just the one where I almost got eaten by alligators.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
OPN.
All right, where were we?
Why are you falling off? Get back on the screen. You're falling off the screen there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Surge. The surge. We were at the
Yeah, it surged. Yeah, it surged to pretty much right below me, and I looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, that's in the way of my face."
Yikes.
So.
Okay.
Right.
Altitude at this point?
Probably I'm guessing 2,000 feet.
That's okay.
Maybe 3,000.
Okay.
I'm a little afraid of it.
Pay attention to the podcast, Johnson. Come on.
Okay.
Right in the middle of the great story.
I know. We should stop.
Yeah, you can bring him on as a guest someday, and
I think we have to. All right. So you're looking at this glider.
Yep, I'm looking at this glider, thinking that's gonna hit my face in
This is gonna hurt.
1 second, and it does.
Yikes.
So at that point, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is bad. Okay, I need to throw a reserve. Coincidentally, Chris is still in my helmet. The helmet's a little skewed, but I still hear a faint voice. Hey, buddy, it's time for a reserve. I'm like, I'm working on it. Give me a second.
Oh my God.
So grab the reserve, all blind. Thankfully, I've practiced just finding the reserve handle on the Scout, just muscle memory, and lock it there. Got it. Felt snag because the lines or the fabric was in the way. Hold harder. Pretty much just follow the instruction manual. Pull zig until the reserve comes out, then throw it as hard as you can into clear air. There wasn't clear air. Everything was white fabric.
Oh
Thankfully,
no.
it came out. So
Wow.
that was one of the faster reserve deployments. After that, I don't know if that was in my mind because the thing's in a rush, or if it was a good reserve. But thankfully, it popped out. And unfortunately, Chris was on a slow pontoon boat, and me having fallen, a perfect dumpling wrapper straight down, took a minute for him to get to me when I was in the water.
Do you have any damage to the Scout?
Nothing immediately following that. Pretty much did the water protocol where dump all the water out, rinse it with gas and oil as much as possible, and then start it as soon as possible. I remember spraying water out the exhaust at Air Farewell's window. So yeah, the next day it pretty much ran kind of fine. Shortly after that, I think a bearing got rusty and seized and started making a terrible noise, but no idea if that was related or not. And if it's
That was a heck of a story.
That's a story.
And I'm glad you were okay, and everything turned out good.
And I'm glad you got through the story with Lucian back there.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is kind of like, well, this is the best part of the recovery of this story was got out of the lake. It was cold, and I immediately said, "Oh, there was a warm space heater in like some blue tent out on the field. I'm gonna go like hide in there and see if I can get warmed up there."
And that's probably how you met Todd. Did you meet Todd? Is that when you met Todd? Or is that a different blue tent?
That is pretty much how I met Todd.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. And you're like, come here, I'll give you a big hug. That's
His
Todd.
immediate response was he was walking around and then he said, "Holy crap, there's so much business at the Resurgence tent. Something's going right." And he walks over and he sees me shivering and cold.
Oh man. All right, we've got a bunch of questions that came in on the chat. I know, and obviously at something like an SIV is where you really can start learning maneuvers. I know that happened for us when we went to our SIV class. Oh my gosh.
It's a little
Still
slimy, but you still love me on slimy, right, Johnson?
Wow.
Yeah.
Where does he come up with this stuff?
Oh, no.
Why is that in Johnson's house?
I don't
I don't know why I invited him over, really.
Wow. I think I saw a comment from Todd earlier. It says Aleutian's a different kind of awesome. It's pretty accurate there. So Jim CR120 asked a little while ago, he goes, which aerobatic maneuver is the most difficult and which one do you like to do the most? Good question.
Aerobatic maneuver that's the most difficult. That's an interesting question because, like I said earlier, I'm like, there's the acro that I respect, but I just say isn't really my jam. I guess pulling from from some knowledge is some people say that you can do small wing overs and then you can do rocket hard wing overs, and those are both kind of safe. It's the middle ground where you go kind of big but softly, where that's where you start to get into a little bit of trouble. And I can kind of see that being a subtle pinch point for a lot of aerobatic maneuvers, whether it's wing overs or anything else floppier, which is, you can really overload yourself with energy and usually works out well, or you can keep it small, but right in the middle is kind of a difficult danger zone.
Okay. What do you like to fly with on reserve? Do you like to do side mount or front mount?
So the Scout has the side handle seat bottom mount. And these days, sometimes I will grab my front mount safety burrito, as I call it.
That's a backup.
Yeah. Question from Resurgence PPG. Lord help me to answer, say this correctly. Can you speak to the benefits of moisture wicking clothing when flying?
Oh, yes, it is hugely important just for daily comfort, but also if you get extremely drenched, like sitting in a lake in Florida surrounded by alligators for about 5 minutes, the moisture wicking underwear really helps. You don't need to change your wet clothes at all if you're wearing it.
Oh, it's a good tip. It's a good tip. So speaking of Resurgence, you had the opportunity, as you're wearing this shirt right now, to go on this amazing trip that just happened a couple months ago. Todd's going, yeah, Dave, you did too, but chose not to. I wish I was there. So that was an amazing trip, and we've got to see some of the videos that have come out of it. Obviously, we're waiting for the big video reveal to come out. Favorite part of that?
Excited for that video.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. What was your favorite part of this amazing epic journey down Arizona and all that?
That was, it's hard. It's always hard to pick favorite parts of flights, because as I maybe you guys have heard this before, but every once in a while people say the paradox of paramotoring is that you keep on coming into the best flight ever. And at a certain point, I just kind of started joking, yeah, this is best flight ever, number 123. So the Arizona trip, I will say, was filled with a lot of moments like that. But it's still hard to pick the best one. Mm-hmm. So I guess some highlights were, this was one of the first times I've flown out in the Southwest on a paramotor. So before we got to the Eye of Grand, there was a small hill, and this is the first time I've flown around saguaro cactuses, the big 1 to 10 ton things that you see in cartoons and movies. And I had joked with someone earlier. It's like, all right, yeah, this is going to be exactly like the Roadrunner cartoon where someone flies directly into a cactus. And just thinking of that, I'm like, all right, I have to go slalom pylon around these cactuses. That was just a little subtle moment that probably wasn't caught on film anywhere, and just stuck out. The other ones that were more caught on film, for example,
Copper Mine, the Copper Mine.
Copper Mine, that was a good one. That was,
gosh.
Yeah, I did say, okay, yeah, all right. Maybe the first or second one picked here. I'm gonna be the first one to do a barrel roll over the Copper Mine. So did that.
Right, that's cool.
I do remember, I think it was Greg Anthony Harris had a video where he's just narrating. He's flying up to it, and he just looks over and he's like, "What the heck are you doing in there?"
Yeah, that's right. But my gosh, the size of 3 Statue of Liberties, one on top of each other. That's how deep that is. I mean,
that's amazing. Yeah.
Can you imagine foot dragging the ground and all of a sudden it just drops straight down like that? That's crazy.
I'd like to do a full stall in the center of that thing.
You might have time to recover and fly out with how deep it is.
That would
So
be
there
insane.
is a slope, and unfortunately, it's worn out. Hasn't been. I don't think it's been used in a while. So like the dirt is like big chunks that would probably trip you up. / they're not good to foot drag. One of the things I wanted to do, I've done local quarries, is that a lot of times the maximum slope that you can drive construction vehicles down is perfect for motor near idle foot dragging, where
Uphill or downhill?
Going downhill, and you can just
Downhill.
glide exactly the slope of the construction.
Nice. That would be fun. Yeah.
How bumpy the eye was, probably not the best idea.
Mm.
And it would have been a long walk out if you.
Ooh.
Tell me about Iceland. I mean, that's one of my
Iceland.
big bucket list trips right there.
That is a big bucket list, and I think I have special background for that.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. We have background pictures too.
So I've been lucky enough to go to Iceland twice. The very first year, I said, that looks cool. Why not?
Okay.
And that country is virtually made for paramotors. So it's an island country. So it's not that hard to drive around and say, okay, yeah, it's a 5-hour drive there, but we get a beach wind if we go to this corner rather than this side, so that you can have laminar wind coming off the ocean. But if you launch from the beach, it's very common to be able to go laminar easy beach launch, nice and open, transition into awesome green moss that is incredibly eye-catching in its color. And then either later that flight or just next day or next afternoon, go from that kind of valley to a glacier or a volcano. So I think there was one flight where we did that. We launched from a quiet oceanside cliff where we were camping, flew up this valley, climbed over some clouds, got to the glaciers. I flew through like 2 monuments in the glaciers, flew to the end of the glacier, back down, saw like snowmobiles and other expedition people, probably jealous that we could make this whole trip. That would take them a day or 2 or maybe longer. Then back to the flying site and start cooking up sausages for breakfast. That was day after day of various trips like that.
What about night flying? Can you do any night flying? Because I know I talk about that being a bucket list, but my her big bucket list is seeing the Northern Lights. What about flying at night?
The Northern Lights is also on my bucket list, and unfortunately, I have not seen them yet. Occasionally, I'll get either the news, I'll see it, or I'll get alerts that the Northern Lights, the aurora activity might creep down to here in the Northeast. I haven't seen them. I've never gotten lucky enough where literally stars align and the clouds are gone, et cetera, et cetera. I kind of want to go to Iceland or go to Iceland in like November or December, just to experience a winter there. So Northern Lights still on my bucket list. I would love to fly under the Northern Lights. But Iceland, the airspace rules are similar to what we're used to in the United States, but a few tweaks. So they're far enough north where I think 2 weeks-ish of the year, in the middle of the summer, there is no nighttime. The sun never goes down. And then 2 weeks in the winter, the sun never gets above the horizon, just from how far north they are. So they have an airspace exception where they say if the sun is more than or less than some number of degrees below the horizon, that kind of counts like our 30 minutes after sunset, where there is enough horizon light where aeronautical activity by the law is kind of allowed. The first year I was there, we were lucky enough and we found out that there was a local charity firing off fireworks. So Miro said, yeah, we should go fly around this.
Cool.
Miro being Miro, we made a really cool plan, circle around about 5 kilometers away and 1,000 meters up so that we wouldn't scare the air show and make them cancel their show or anything like that. Unfortunately, I was either renting or had to do paramotor there. I didn't have my strobe. Most of us just had various like non-perfect lights strapped around. And we showed up to the fireworks at probably 11:45. Fireworks were going to go off at midnight. The 15 or so minutes, we were waiting, circling each other in the sky with barely enough lights to see each other. That was one of the most nerve-wracking 15 minutes of, oh crap, where are they? Did I lose them? I'm about to hit something? That was a little bit of a traumatic experience, but all went well. Miro got some really cool shots. I'm gonna be a spoiled American and say, unfortunately, the fireworks weren't great. Like we can just go to New Hampshire and buy $1,000 worth of fireworks because live free or die up there, and it's gonna be bigger than the show they had in Iceland. They're European. We gotta give them credit.
Okay.
So that was a fun experience. Got some good footage out of that, and then we all just hightailed it back. And then that was probably the darkest I've landed. Well, okay, so I've landed in the dark for a Paradigm show, but this one was fun because our lighting were a Toyota Hilux and a Mercedes Vano, kind of blasting light down the runway, which was just dirt, showing us what the wind direction was, and we had a bonfire going, a little bit of smoke. I did bring one of the brighter flashlights I own, and I had that sitting on my seat board. So it kind of was like a perfect searchlight that I could point at things and kind of see. And the video of me on a Proton final was really cool, just like beaming light coming in. I was like, this feels like I can only imagine this is what flying a search and rescue helicopter at night feels like. But landed that, and then I don't know if we went to sleep after that or we started making dinner because it was midnight, and yeah, we just landed from a flight.
Very cool. Very cool. Hot Buttered Steve, thank you very much for that donation for $10 to the show and to Resurgence PPG. Appreciate that, Hot Buttered Steve. Hey, by the way, Yankee Paramotor wanted to say thank you a little earlier on. He said, thanks, Q, for permission to use some of his video in my riser twist video. Who was that pilot?
That was me.
There you go.
Yikes.
Story.
So you've been through that too, a little riser twist, huh?
That was pretty minor. So I was flying a older design machine that did not, the only torque compensation on that machine was the diagonal strap going from one corner to an arm or something like that. The problem with the diagonal strap is that if you're out of your seat and not sitting in the seat, that strap doesn't have anything to tension on. Plus, I don't know if I had it adjusted correctly. So I took off. It was a Mac Charger wing. Wing inflated great, and it started feeling weird. Also, I was barefoot, so that didn't help. Launched, there was some nice wind, and it just felt like, okay, the wing is going this way, and I'm facing that way. So in the video, you can see it. It was probably 30 degrees twisted off. So I pretty much said, okay, this is riser twist, reduce power, crank the wing over to the direction that the paramotor is traveling, and then get back on course. And we didn't go very far at all twist wise. I did have an engine out about 5 seconds after that, unfortunately.
Hey, what was Jim CR wanted to know this too? What was the worst equipment breakage you have had so far, and how did it happen?
The worst, unfortunately, the worst equipment breakage is my Scout falling over inside the trailer. So there was one Scout where I was driving somewhere and got to where I was going, opened up the back trailer door, and Scout is punched against a corner
Yikes.
of another paramotor. And it was just a big gaping hole in the top carbon. And it's like, those hurt extra bad simply because it kind of isn't really, like, you don't have any good story to show for it. You didn't learn very much from it. It's not an exciting learning moment. It's just maybe you forgot to strap it down, or maybe a strap came loose because the people buckle was bad. One of those. So it's just like an extra gut punch of
Anything traumatic while flying? Or
that
landing?
resulted in damage.
Yeah, it's been a long time, huh?
My paramotors have always come out remarkably unscathed. Yeah, I'm lucky in that.
Mira's going, this is great advertising for Scout. I love it.
His Scout video where he was afraid for his back was pretty impressive.
So another question from Todd, and this is kind of one of the questions I was going to ask you too. Explain your risk profile measurement technique.
My risk profile measurement technique. I have a hunch he's asking about my assessment system for land outs. That's a good one to start because Iceland's the best place to explain it. I like to give a letter grade to the terrain that you're going to land on. So everyone just they've heard the simple rule: fly over something you can land on. And there's some complexity in that because I like to at least emphasize fly over some terrain that you as a pilot at your skill level personally feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Going on from there, let's just do ABCD, or ABCD is failing grades. A grade landing would be, okay, you have an engine out, you land there, and it's right on your flying field, or you're landing on the beach and you grab a beer right there, and it won't take long at all for your muchachos to show up and give you a ride back. B grade, let's say it's something like you were out farther, you're gonna land, it might take you an hour to walk back, you'll get muddy, it might be nasty, but you'll be safe, no damage, no one will get hurt, the pilot we're talking about. C grade, we're starting to get into, okay, yeah, for example, this particular picture in Iceland, this is somewhere between a B and the C, where if I had an engine out right then, there was nice grass in front of me, and it's maybe a B minus because it would have taken 4 hours to get back out to where we were camping, and it would be an annoying recovery for everyone crawling with a paramotor down this river canyon. Mm-hmm. But 50 feet later, it might have been steep canyon rocks where we're saying, yeah, I can probably land in that. I will probably break equipment. I might break an ankle, but I won't die. So there were a few elements in Iceland where we're saying, okay, yeah, you might get hurt, but you might have to call a helicopter. You might have to do something unpleasant to get yourself out. And the only reason we should be flying in that kind of stuff is if the reward is worth it. Mm-hmm. So, for example, this canyon, it was gorgeous. Uh-huh. And we also, and there's a little untold story of this, which was we flew through the canyon going up at a high altitude, and we kind of sussed out, okay, it's actually smooth here. And then I tested the waters, tested the air a little bit deeper, and the canyon was closed on all sides. The wind was perfectly still. So that, knocked up the possible risks a little bit. But there were other places where we say, okay, yeah, this is a C grade type risk, land down in case something happens. We're doing it because it's so gorgeous. It's so awesome. It's so unlike anything else we've flown over.
Once in a lifetime for most people.
Exactly. One of my taglines was, this is a once in a lifetime experience. It's worth repeating.
Hey, Johnson, I have a question for you. Do you fly with a camera, GoPro, or anything? Did you get footage of these Iceland trips?
I did.
And stuff like you did. Okay, so you got a lot of really, I would imagine, amazing footage. I've seen some footage from other people, but
yeah, I'm not much of a video editor, so a lot of that footage went straight back to the scout team, and they got their hands on it, and they did such an amazing job editing it together. Like, that's one of the best ways you can probably ask for a vacation, which is you go fly, you film, and then they'll make a montage for you.
That's awesome.
So there is a video editor that is watching the show right now, and his name is Tucker Gott, and he wants to know, Tucker Gott, have you seen him?
Does he have nice hair or anything like that?
I don't know. It's okay. I think he flew to Burger King, or was it Mendy's?
Is he like a fashion guy, like always making clothing?
He's a nice guy. He's a memorable guy. Yeah, he does make some clothing on the side too. That was your first. He was asking if you talked about your first reserve toss. Was Santa Croce's SIV? Was that the first reserve toss?
No, that was my second reserve toss.
Second reserve.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
We have another one. Let's hear about the
Let's hear it.
But before you do, I do want to thank Squiggly Wiggins, also known as Tim, because I know this man personally. He says, "Thank you for this is so I'm embarrassed to read this, Tim. Thank you all for doing the streams. Gives noobs hope and information about hobbies, lifestyles. David and Tucker are my rock stars. I'm embarrassed to be put in the same category as Tucker. I don't deserve it, but thank you anyways, Tim. I'll slip you a 50 on the way back from Indianapolis this week for putting that in there. All right, let's hear about reserve toss number 2.
Number 1, you mean?
Number one. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So this was the one that resulted in people saying, "Oh, you should take an SIV so you don't go in the water again." Their advice was bad. I was taking a quick flight before my students showed up. So, tagline is instructors only get to fly when the air is bad. It was probably 4:00, weren't many clouds in the sky. I was getting close to the evening session when it was going to smooth out. The weather forecast was great. I took a quick tour around one of the airports and fields that I love flying around. I actually flew there yesterday. And on the way back, this airport also has a skydiving business. So I said, all right, I know the skydiving pattern. They're going to drop jumpers. It's going to be this much time before they're on the ground. Plane's going to land. They're going to load up the new guys. And I'd like to stay out of their way. So I'm a good neighbor to the airport as a pilot. So I said, okay, plane's on final. Let's push speed bar and get a little faster to get back to the airport. Unfortunately, either the tiny figure eight, the peanut-shaped lake had a cold layer, or maybe the wing just had a speed bar that pushed the reflex profile a little too far. I had an enormous collapse, resulted in multiple riser twists, and what I thought was a horseshoe cravat system, but it's more like 40% stuck, 10% stuck. Looked up at that wing and I said, oh, I think I could solve this if I had 15,000 feet. I don't have 15,000 feet. Oh, I've always wanted to throw a reserve before. Let's give that a try. Reserve came out, opened, and this wasn't very high. Reserve came out, opened, not very, probably 2 seconds before I hit the water. And
oh my gosh.
Impact. But unfortunately, I had just discovered not that long ago that my flotation had a leak, and the new one was pretty much sitting on my doorstep.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was part of my decision making where I was saying, I don't know if I could fly this wing, but I kind of don't want to go in the water. But the happy reserve thought said, all right, try this first. I don't think it can be that much worse. Got the reserve out, but still went in the water. And then thankfully, there were some bros on a boat enjoying the day in the summer, drinking beer on the, in the middle of the lake. And they saw me burning in, and they came and were able to hold my head above the water until we could pop myself out of the harness and get on their boat.
God, dang, man, 2 reserve tosses.
They were all drunk. Here you come down. They reach in, they pull you out. One says, my name is Lucian Sims. Nice to meet you there, boy.
Yeah, that would have been.
Oh, we get in trouble.
Hey,
yeah, I wouldn't be buying him drinks like I offered for those guys if that's how it turned out.
Hey, Mark H wants to know what's your favorite reserve since you've thrown so many.
I am a decent fan of the Beamer 3 now, simply because during SIV, that one came out so nicely, even though I probably didn't have a clean throw. And the first one I threw was just a standard round. So I unfortunately don't have video of my SIV, but the Beamer did feel like it came out less than a second after it left my hands. Whereas the round, you can watch the video and it's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2.25. So deployment speed is important. So I'm going with the Beamer 3 for that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, experience speaks for itself.
Tucker says, you're my hero, Johnson. There you go. So this question comes, I can't say who this is from, but you might not get this answer right. He says, what is your favorite podcast that starts with the word the? I love that he doesn't have an answer right away.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a big paramotor podcast or most YouTube podcast kind of guy.
This makes you smile.
This makes me happy. Okay, let's what is your favorite paramotor podcast that Anthony Vella hosts?
Wait, what's your favorite paramotor pilot?
Whose name might be Anthony Vella. Just give them the satisfaction, for God's sakes.
Anthony,
Moving on.
I do appreciate the art that you put into a lot of your videos. But like I get enough enjoyment flying, so I'm not watching every single video coming off on the paramotor related channels.
Hey, don't be offended, Anthony. In all honesty, 98 episodes in, Johnson's only watched 3, and one of them he's on. So my show. So there you go. You got a better record. All right. So this is it. I want to change gears a little bit. You've been doing this for 8 years, 8 years.
Something like that.
You've seen a lot happen. What are your biggest concerns of what's happening or the direction that paramotoring is going, or is it going in a great and there are no concerns and things are fine and dandy?
I mean, there are things that are going great. Roughly a couple of years. So when I was a newbie, I pretty much asked for, okay, what's a beginner reflex wing that I can fly and feel safe on? The reflex wings on the market at that point were, if you're going by the EN system, which is more applicable for paragliding, in my opinion, they were all C wings and hotter in terms of rating. So it wasn't an easy way to say, okay, yeah, you as a novice who might know what they're doing, but still new, there wasn't a safe feeling option. A couple years after that, we started seeing reflex B wings, good recovery ratings, but still were fun. They were the everyman wings. And I said, okay, it's awesome. I think this is going to make this sport so much nicer for a lot of people, because you no longer have to choose between the slow, safe hog or the maybe it's a death trap. No one knows. So that market now everyone's got such good choices in the paramotor equipment world that's an awesome blessing that we have. The flip side of that sword is that we have a lot of people getting into the sport, and it's always a worry of, okay, yeah, whether everyone is coordinating nicely and we're all courteous neighbors to areas we're flying around, where we're saying, okay, yeah, there's going to be 5 of us today. Let's stay away from these areas. Let's not wake them up in the morning. Let's not be troublesome neighbors. Or the flip side, which is, sometimes I meet new pilots from outside the area and I can give them a site briefing and everything's good. Other times it's for example, me going down and saying, oh, I'm in Tennessee right now. I want to go fly. And I just find a site that I know or that looks pretty good to me, but I might go fly it and not know anything from the locals, whether or not this is an area that is been harassed by paramotors endlessly. And it's already kind of like borderline of losing the friendly neighbor aspect. Both of those situations where we're getting more and more pilots, and that's kind of a worry from just where can we fly and how can we not be dicks in the sky.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to remember in the pre-show I said we have plenty to talk about. We're already an hour in and we still got a couple more questions I wanted to ask you, but I wanted to go back and talk a little bit about your own school, your teaching, your style. I mean, so you have another job, you kind of do the paramotoring training on the side. How many students do you take a year or a month? You're up in Boston, so you obviously can't teach for 4 or 5 months out of the year anyhow, unless you come down and do it in a different location. Tell us a little bit about your style of teaching.
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying I do love going as a co-instructor to schools around the country. Justin Fox, supposedly there's a drinking game, so I don't know how drunk he is right now. Guys like Justin Fox, Skyfield, Aviator. I love co-teaching at those clinic type courses.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I wanted to do, that I wanted to deliver, was when I started training, there were a lot of people that kind of said, oh yeah, you get lifetime training through me. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Does that mean that, you can just take as long as you want? And over time, I realized what I wanted that to mean was you will have a primary instructor and a mentor and someone that can get you as advanced as you want and kind of give you that ongoing curriculum. So obviously, if someone has to fly across the country for that, to me, that's not going to be as feasible. But for my local guys, if it's a good fit, I want to be able to deliver that and say, okay, yeah, the primary training is going to be like this. I'm going to work around your schedule. We're going to basically be utmost weekend warriors. We might be out there 10, 12-hour days, maybe even longer in the summer when the sun is up in the sky a long time. Get you through the same stuff. We're going to get you in the hang simulator. We're going to do lean backs. We're going to do ground school. We're going to cover all that curriculum. And we're going to get you to be what I like to call the proficient novice stage. But after that, so that part usually takes around, on a good year, no COVID, and in the prime weather season, I can usually get someone through that section of the program in about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Again, one of the benefits of how I do it is that I can be flexible with their schedule. So I can be a week here and a week there, or it can be, we spend 40 hours in literally 4 days and we get you flying then and there. But after that, I love being able to say, okay, yeah, you're at this stage now. Here's what I'd like you to work on. Oh, you want to practice wingovers? I can either be on the ground and talk you through and say, okay, yeah, this is what I'm seeing on radio, or really looking forward to one of my bucket list goals. If you want to do wingovers, I've got tandem gear. Let's go. I'll show, you try it. I'll be there just in case anything goes weird, and I can give you live wingover feedback right there. So whether it's wingovers, whether it's swoop landings, whether it's, mission planning like Icarus stuff, that's something I wanted to be able to say, okay, yeah, it's not just I'm going to teach you how to fly and then you know how to fly. It's I want to teach you how to fly, and if you want to continue your steps up the ladder in mastery, I want to be there to make a program that's good for that.
That's awesome. What a great idea. Great programs. I mean, there's so many different ways that I've seen training because I've got to spend time with a lot of the same people that you have, seen so many different ways of training, and they work. It doesn't all have to be syllabus exactly custom for everybody exactly the same way. I shouldn't say custom. I should say everybody doing the same way. You can customize it yourself, especially for people like yourself, or we talked about earlier, Chris Holbert, Predator Paramotor, who's been on the show, buddy of mine that's out flying out where I am. And of course, also a person who's helped Resurgence out by training Andy Mack. But he does it very similar to you two, and it works. And he, like you, have had a lot of very good success stories with pilots coming out of your school. So that's fantastic. Let me ask you one more question from Todd. We're going to give away a couple things, and then I'm going to ask you one final question here. And then I'm also going to put the meeting ID and the password into the chat here in a little bit. So if you want to come on and say hi to Johnson in the after show, you can do that. Oh, I didn't tell you about the after show. You can say it as soon as you want, unless Lucian needs you for something. But sorry.
Yeah, I should have screwed the door shut.
He wants to know, what is your current record for credit card roulette?
Let's see. I mean, COVID has been tough for credit card roulette, but I don't think anyone has beaten me losing to Todd. Okay, so I don't think anyone's beaten the record for me losing to Todd roughly 3 out of 4 meals in a row a couple years ago back in Florida.
Wow.
So Todd gets an extra point for that.
Okay.
The person who introduced me to credit card roulette was my paramotor instructor.
Okay.
And this is how I realized this cosmic coincidental karma rule of paramotor instructors lose credit card roulette a lot. Because when I played credit card roulette with my paramotor instructor, no matter how many people were at the table, he lost 1/3 of the time.
Now, don't ever try to coin Todd or anybody else in that group. I've always had my coin when I go to a flying, my coins. Hey, this is an important question for you that I just saw. Silent Halo. Is there a link to Johnson's school? I'm in Massachusetts and would be interested. All right. How does someone reach out to you?
Yeah, I have classbairairspace.com parked, but I'm a solo guy. I haven't developed anything for the web yet. And I've already gotten so many people reaching out to me, whether it's by word of mouth or just simply on social media or the USPPA website. Coincidentally, those are the best places to find my information. Instagram, the USPPA instructor directory, those are all good sites, or those are all good spots to find my stuff. The website, I think all that's on it right now is like a kitten falling over, so not much to see there. It's just a placeholder. But I've gotten more than enough people that I am looking forward to working with that I haven't needed that website yet.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you don't need the business. You're good.
Dave,
All right.
the hour went by so fast. What happened?
Gosh, I've got more questions.
Johnson's a hell of a guest. We might have to have him back on, but he can go on and on.
I know. We have Lucian on it, John.
This was interesting.
Oh, yeah,
This was all interesting.
have Lucian on in the interim first.
This is all interesting stories.
I know. All right. Let's get some stuff away. John, I've got a question. Or do you have a question? What do you got?
So, I mean, I have a question.
Let me do this.
Go ahead. You go first.
I got to try to get my, I'm going to share screen here. Let's talk for a second because it's catching up the entire show. And I've got two computers, you know. Right now it's about an hour behind. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on mine here. Let's see. Well, we're going to look. We'll have to just look at the chat, Johnny, and figure it out from there. So why don't you ask a question? First person to answer correct. If I can get it on my, I should be able to get it here. I'll get it on my screen here.
What's it going to be for, Dave?
Why don't we give away the COVID mask first?
Okay, so the mask question is going to be,
yeah,
what was Johnson Q's major?
Oh, his major or his minor? His minor.
His major.
His major.
His
Okay.
major.
All right. I gotta look.
First person to answer it in the chat gets the COVID mask.
All right, so I got my screen share up here, and let's see. We're not spinning the wheel because
Dave's not here.
Dave Ruff decided to hang out with Kyle Oakley all day.
Wow.
Yeah, you know. JP Tulo says engineering.
That would be my major.
JP Tulo.
All right, JP, listening to the show.
That's gonna save me some shipping. We just flew tonight, JP Tulo and I. JP Tulo, you're gonna have a COVID mask. I expect you to wear this every time I see you.
Yes. Be safe, JP.
He was not wearing his COVID mask
around David.
He was not wearing his COVID mask while he was flying tonight. I was very upset.
Just around David.
He tried to get close to me. He was within 60 feet. And I said, no, you gotta be safe. All right. Johnson's not amused. He's got all right. We got a buff.
Okay. I got another question for the buff. You ready?
Yeah, we're still screen sharing, I think. So
okay. Johnson had a map with a bunch of pins on it with all the places he's been to. Who knows the total number of pins that are on that map? First person to get the total number of pins wins the Resurgence buff.
And you can try counting, but yeah, good luck. There's a lot of
actual number. I wrote it down just in case that was a question. I wrote it down. So I'm looking here.
Oh, we had someone close.
I didn't see anything pop up. Oh, yours must be going faster than mine.
Ooh.
Oh, really close.
That was close. No. Oh, that's.
Oh, there it is. Darren Locklear.
Hang on, it's still coming up here. Darren Locklear.
Darren Locklear has it correct. Congratulations.
Darren Locklear. Darren Locklear has it.
I know Darren. He's out of North Carolina. Good guy. Congratulations, Darren.
Oh, these guys pay attention during the show.
They really do. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, so Darren, if you can shoot me an email or Facebook Messenger, whichever you prefer, and I need your address and your head size. No, I don't need your head size. This is one size fit all, but I need your address and I'll get this out to you. JP, we'll get this to you, bud. I know where
Jim
you live.
CR120 says, does Johnson even know?
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to be like, I demand an audit.
He counted them before the show, Jim.
He wants a recount. Zoom in on the map, please. We'd like to count those pins personally. Johnson, you have had amazing adventures. What's been your favorite of all of them?
Iceland is a little cliche, but I do want to pack up my world and send it in a shipping container over and live there for a few months, if not longer. So that is still highly up there. That's just such an amazing destination. But Icarus is a fun challenge. So I did Icarus X Florida, and that was just a bunch of stories and kind of a, it's Florida.
Did you make it to the end on that? I forgot.
I did make it to the end.
Okay.
I came in 40 minutes after Mustache Bear guy.
Was he on a trike, that guy?
No,
There's a
he
guy on
was
a
on a
trike.
full launch motor.
Okay.
All right, let me rephrase my question. If you've had one flight of the thousands of flights that you've had, and you say, "Oh wow, this was the best one I've ever had," do you have one in your mind that you can think of?
It's such a hard question because it just goes back into, I almost want to take my, if I could have a master flight list and say, oh yeah, this deserves the best flight award. So, and there's hundreds of flights where they all basically just like that pops into your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this was so much fun hanging out with you tonight and hearing a lot of amazing stories.
You're actually a very interesting guy, Johnson.
Like I can tell you the best one this year, which was I came back from Florida. Everyone's like, oh, you were so lucky. You were flying in Florida. It was nice and warm. I came back dressed up. It was 32 degrees, but fresh snow had just fallen. There was about 4 inches of powder across the entire state. Flew from one of my favorite airports. Made a cool little video where I foot dragged the powder for 5 times in a row and threw all the videos together. Ozone liked that one too. Then right after that, I popped over from the airport to another frozen pond and played with some kids skiing down a hill or sledding down a hill, waved hi to them, threw some snow around at them, hopped over to the next pond that was frozen, left a 1/4 mile long powder trail on top of the frozen lake, found the people who were walking their dogs getting video, took that, got all their videos and, was able to look at that and flew back and like, the best music, whatever was playing in my headphones. I landed and like kept on dancing for a few minutes.
That's awesome, man.
And it's like that's not my best flight ever. I'm sure there are other flights that have just been like that. And that's what's great about having fun paramotors.
Yeah, dude, this was such a fun show. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Hopefully you'll stay for a little bit for the after show. Say hi to a couple of people. There's actually 4 people waiting to get in the after show right now. Next week,
the bouncers,
maybe. Next week, Madeline Mixer and Michael Mixer. Madeline started flying when she was 12 years old, just a couple of years ago. And that's kind of one of the things I've been trying to encourage more and more people to get their kids involved in the sport. I've gotten my son flying. I'm working on my daughter. We were out in the field kiting just yesterday for about an hour. Because, hey, it benefits everybody. It benefits the family. It benefits the instructors. It benefits all the people that sell products. So let's continue to grow this. And then the week after that, we have our 100th episode, which is going to be an absolute blast. So looking forward to that. Johnny, any last words? Dave Ruff, do you have anything left to say?
That's it. Thank you, Johnson. I really enjoyed listening to you, your stories. And I'd like to see you back sometime in the future.
I'll be down in Florida pretty soon. So, but if not then I'm sure I'll pass across later.
Yeah. Linda Anderson just donated $5 in the super chat. Thank you so much, Linda. We appreciate that. All right, guys, we're going to go to the after show. I just posted the meeting ID and the password one more time. We'll see you guys there. We'll see you next week. And by the way, I have that video, that series that starts this Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. OPN 101. Johnson, thank you so much again, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.